Hello and welcome back to our life beginnings and always. I had to do the last little bit of family there. We had a lovely time finding out we were adopted and our parents were dead last time. We only have 3 more left, but today I promised I don't want to do all these in a row and I'm not going to roll a dice. We're just going to go on the boardwalk adventure with Derek's family. So here we go. Our family too, to be fair. But we start off at the Derek house. Ah, yes, the Derek house. It was early morning, but the day was already buzzing with excitement. Your whole family was gathered together with all 5 Suarezes in their cozy living room. Though you were all making a trip out to a boardwalk set park, it was a regular enough outing for Derek's family, but it would be your first time going. The boardwalk was a few hours away, and it was even further when setting out from Sunset Bird. That's why the adults had decided to meet up here at the Suarezes' apartment instead of gathering at the boardwalk itself. Really? So this is the only thing that makes me think that, although I'm pretty sure they expressed that they are in Southern California, right? So maybe this is in LA area? That'd be my guess. I've been to one of these in San Francisco. Been to Fisherman's Wharf. So I'm kind of familiar with the idea of this. Yeah. But I'm guessing these are all over California in the cities. Probably just at, they're probably going to LA for this, would be my guess. It gave your moms a little break from driving, and everyone got their last chance to run to the bathroom. You would be leaving very soon. So they're probably, like, coming from where they are south of San Diego or whatever, and going from there. You'd be leaving very soon. While you waited for the trip to officially start, you sat on the couch with your hands in your lap. For a few minutes now, you tried to keep track of what the group gathered around the kitchen counter were up to. Elizabeth, your moms, and Mrs. Suarez were all busy making preparations for from what you could tell. Meanwhile, Mr. Suarez had his hands full running up his 2 youngest kids. It seemed that they were taking an anti-shoe stance that morning, and in Nicholas's case, he needed to be talked into wearing a shirt too. On the cushion next to you, Derek was pumped for what the boardwalk had to offer. He was rambling a mile a minute about all the fun stuff he couldn't wait to show you. You were excited about it. You were nervous about how busy it might be. You were simply happy because Derek was happy. Now, you were excited about it. This is the Marina we're talking about, right? Bouncing your leg, you struggled to contain your energy. You were just as eager to experience everything he described. This is something she would love to do, man. This journey was also the first time you and Derek's families were doing a big activity together. You couldn't believe it originally when the adults went through it with organizing the trip. I mean, we've already gone to this man's house for a sleepover. We've done stuff with his family. We've done stuff with him. We're doing stuff with his family for the first time.
Let's go.
Kids, come join us in the kitchen. It's time to pack your treat bags.
Cool.
Oh yeah, treat bags. Forget about that. Sliding off the couch, you didn't have the faintest idea what Mrs. Suarez meant, but you were summoned, and so you followed Derek's lead. He turned out to say something over his shoulder. He guessed that line might have been confusing to a newcomer. The snack bags are what we do for larger trips. Me and my brothers, and you and Elizabeth too. We'll get to fill a little plastic baggie with any sweets and stuff we want. It's supposed to be for eating during the hours-long drive, but no one really cares when we snack. It's just so we have something if we need it. Lucky, that's the coolest idea.
Same.
I think so too. It's great to have on hand. You know, this is something I gotta remember, that this is a thing that you could do. These people have got parenting down to a T, though, with these 3 kids they have to deal with. As you reach the kitchen, Elizabeth breezed past you with your mom's following a more relaxed pace. Derek raised a skeptical brow and pointed in her direction with his thumb. Doesn't she want a bag? Elizabeth stopped and spun around on her heels. Surprised, Derek pulled his hand back to his side. Elizabeth's lips curled to an all-too-pleased smirk.
What?
You heard Mrs. Suarez. She called for the kids to come? Yeah, we're back to this Elizabeth in this one. But I agree. Like, why? When you're 15, why would you need a little treat bag? It's a little ridiculous. Even 13 seems a little old for that to me. Ma shook her head at Elizabeth's taunting display. Your sister stepped forward and held up a zip bag that you hadn't noticed before. I already got mine while we were getting things set up for the rest of you. Her baggie was full of dried fruits and chocolate chips. She teasingly dangled at your face and then Derek's. Very mature, Elizabeth. You're not one of the kids at all. You snickered or you stuck out your tongue, you shook your head, you rolled your eyes, you just stared at Elizabeth. Why do we gotta be mean in any way, shape, or form here? How about you shook your head? There was a little that you found amusing about her teasing, and it was written all over your face. Elizabeth withdrew her bag of treats, letting her hands rest at her sides. After that, she left the kitchen and plopped down in your old spot on the couch. Your mom's joined her, putting Elizabeth in the middle, Ma comfortably patting Elizabeth's leg. Glancing back toward the kitchen, Jorge and Nicolas were fully dressed, and they dashed ahead of you. They excitedly crowded around their mom's legs. Now don't forget that bag actually has to be able to close for it to count. She began passing out baggies to her two youngest, and then Mrs. Suarez turned to you and winked. That's my one rule for the treat bags, but other than that, feel free to go crazy. Nicolas and Jorge took that as their cue to rush up to the counter line with tasty options and started stuffing their bags. Mrs. Suarez handed you and Derek your own plastic baggies. Now that it was your hand, you realized that it was the smallest zip bag size. There was no way you were going to get a little bit of everything. In my experience, you can fit about 4 handfuls of stuff before it starts getting too tough to close. That's still a pretty big bag. Answered before I could even ask. Thanks, mind reader. The younger boys were finished selecting the road trip treats. Jorge's bag closed easily, while Nicolas's was proving a challenge to squeeze shut. The plastic was ballooned out to the sides, entirely full of cookies and candy. His brow pinched as he struggled with the zip. To everyone's surprise, Nicolas got it to seal, and he proudly held the bag up for his mom's inspection. Impressed, she nodded. Don't forget to take a water bottle, too. We don't want to lose anyone to dehydration today. The two boys held their prizes tightly and grabbed the water bottles off the edge of the counter on their way out of the kitchen. It was your turn now at the buffet, and the spread was delicious. If there was anything left after Nicolas, right? Oh, jeez. This is none of these, though. Fruit, gummy candies, peanuts, almonds, walnuts, plain crackers, sunflower seed, sugar cookies, cabbage cookies, dried mangoes, dried apples, dried cranberries, cereal, granola, chocolate chips. You didn't take anything. So, if we learned anything about Marina Foster in this short time, is that she is the embodiment of, you know, this might be my own taste now that I'm thinking about it, but the embodiment of healthy. She doesn't eat crap. I think she would also be a sunflower seeds person. I hate them, but I think Marina Foster would get them. And probably some almonds, walnuts, dried mangoes. Oh. That's right. When they say 4 things, 4 handfuls, he means 4 things. So let's think about this a little bit more. You only get 4 things and you're done. So, sunflower seeds, almonds, granola, and dried mangoes. Enjoy. Humming happily, you ran your hand across the side of the plastic baggie. You were grateful for your haul, and proudly you showed it to Derek. He gave you a thumbs up.
I gotcha.
Variety is the spice of life. You could take 4 of, you could just take all of one thing, too. He closed his bag and you realized it was completely full of a bunch of different things, too. Chuckling, you gently poked the straining side of his plastic bag. Yes, it is. Derek leaned across the counter for the water bottles. He slid one over for you to take and grabbed one for himself, too. Okay, I'll close up the packs then. We can leave this out here for now.
Is that fine?
We don't have any more time to lose. Are we all ready? Several voices called back, answering yes. Mrs. Suarez raised an eyebrow and walked out of the kitchen. No one needs to go potty. No.
No.
I don't have to go potty. Oh, Nicolas.
Good.
Anyone have questions before we go? She put her hands on her hips and glanced around the apartment. Mr. Suarez raised his hands just as he caught her eye. I'd like to know how we will arrange the rides. There's room for 5 in the back of our car and room for 3 in the Foster car.
What do you think?
There's room to switch who's bringing who if there's a want for it.
Oh.
I'm glad you brought that up. Elizabeth and Marina are welcome to ride with us, or Derek can feel free to row with Pamela and Nolani. Nicolas and Jorge are staying in our van, though. Frustrated, both smaller boys put out the exclusion. Jorge's jaw clenched as he crossed his arms. Why would they care? Why would this one care? Wouldn't he want to be wherever Derek is? I guess if Derek was in the Foster's car, then he would want to be with... That look, though, that face is like... His eye being slightly off like this, it doesn't look right. It doesn't look right to me. This is... Oh, man. So I wish someone could describe that mood. I'm not a baby. Why do I gotta stay in the van? I'm not a baby. Nicholas, you know you still need a booster seat. We can't put that in their car. Mrs. Suarez chuckled at Nicholas's angry grumbling, and he passed by the kitchen, aiming to pick at the remaining snacks. Mrs. Suarez sighed in a tickled but still long-suffering way. Dad and I need you to stay awake for such a long drive. Can you two please keep us company on the car ride? Releasing a deep breath, Jorge nodded. He knew this wasn't the day his mom was going to relent. Nicholas, on the other hand, continued to pout. Okay, Mom. Well, what do you think, Lonnie?
That's fine.
Either way, it's fine with me. It's up to the kids to decide which they prefer. I'll stick with Mom's. She then curiously shifted her attention to you. The corner of her mouth pulled into a smirk because she knew what you and your friend were the ones the whole decision was for. Derek leaning close to you, cupping a hand to the side of his mouth so only you could hear him. Marina, what are you thinking? It makes sense for everyone to ride their parents. I want to ride with the Suarezes. Derek should ride with us. Well, if he's alright with that, what are you thinking? You weren't sure what to say. Yeah, I'm picking it right there, but this is Marina wanting to keep the peace. If Derek doesn't ride with Nicholas, he's gonna have a meltdown. So, she go and do it. Yeah, that's awesome. He threw a triumphant fist into the air. Your mom's giggled happily at his cheer. And then Liz can have her time with moms. Be good for the Suarezes. It's a long walk home if you're not. Wow, Ma! Wow, Mom! That's savage coming in hot here. She gave a playful wink, looking far too pleased with her own joke. Ma shook her head.
Let's go.
Okay, now that's that settled, we'll see you there.
Take care.
See you soon, sweetie.
Oh!
Hold on, one last thing. Mrs. Suarez went over to your mom's and quickly went to some last-minute advice in the directions. While you waited, you noticed out of the corner of your eye that Mr. Suarez had moved on from nibbling at the snacks. Instead, you cut him passing Jorge and Nicholas an extra cookie each. Genuine cheer came back to both their expressions. They were so thrilled about the secret cookies that their earlier bitterness about being babied was all sweetened out. And that was that. And that was that. But the fact that Derek is riding with them should make Nicholas happy anyway. Snacks and drinks were set. No one needed to go potty, and the rides were arranged, the directions were obtained, and it was finally time to get the trip started. The two families left the condo behind, chattering with eagerness for the day's activities. At the parking lot, the group split up into get in their different cars. You followed Derek into his parents' minivan. Buckling up, you settled in for the long haul. I think we've seen the minivan before, and I commented on the kids' seat and stuff. But yeah, they had a own minivan, so we can ride in here. Here we go. The Suarez minivan was a full house. Mr. Suarez hopped behind the wheel and his wife fitting shotgun. She went back to double-check that Nicholas was fully strapped into the car seat behind her. Derek, of course, had to sit in the open seat in that second row. That left you and Jorge to take control of the way back. Mrs. Suarez's brow furrowed with frustration. Once again, it became a battle. The wiggling 6-year-old fought against her attempts to tighten the car seat's front straps. Once she succeeded, Mrs. Suarez brushed her hair, the hair that fell forward behind her ear, and turned to the rest of you with lighter expression. Are we all ready? Yeah, yes. Yeah, Mom. Boardwalk fun, here we come.
Very good.
She made sure Nicholas was secured one last time before getting herself situated properly. You heard the click of her seatbelt, and then Mrs. Suarez shifted her attention, this time to the last row of seats. It's nice to have you here, Marina. Thanks for having me. It's awesome getting more time with Derek. He's been telling me all about the boardwalk. I'm glad to hear that. Hopefully it lives up to expectations today. You know, it's interesting. It'd be really interesting to see if you had a crush on Derek in this stage, and you were like having like a little summer, crush on him. That'd be kind of cute. How these moments would all play out. I'm actually really curious about the Baxter moments when I think about it too. But I'm not doing those as Marina. I'm going to probably have to play this game again myself and find out more stuff, because I'm really curious about a lot of the stuff. They got me hooked. They got me hooked on that Our Life. Now that everyone's settled in, the car roared to life, and Mr. Suarez pulled out of the road. Out of habit, he reached over and clicked the CD player on. Upbeat children's music loudly filled the car. I love upbeat children's music. I could listen to it all day long. I used to listen to a radio station on Saturday morning that played that. I love it. I think it's so good. Man, frickin', this is gonna be like the longest moment ever, okay? Not the longest ever, probably, because there's ones later, but this is gonna be a long one. Oh my goodness. I am not I know I'm sorry, this is probably gonna be 3 videos, just so you know. Squealing with excitement, Nicolas started kicking his feet to the beat of the song. Next to you, Jorge leaned an elbow on the car door and rested his chin in the palm of his hand. Also, if I have a hard time, like, reading some of this and it slurs a lot, it's because I've been having, like, throat issues lately, and I've been kind of putting off reading these. That's why they've been so slow in coming out. And I've been doing a lot of stuff, but I kind of put it off, and I hope I can get through this. I might have to stop at some point just because my throat's bad. There was a faint smile tugging at the corner of his mouth as he settled in to stare out the window. You caught Derek's green-eyed gaze peeking at you from the space between the headrest and the backrest of the seat. You waved at him. Derek moved out of sight, but only to twist around the seat to talk to you directly.
It's all good.
Thanks for coming with us on the drive. I can't wait for you to see this boardwalk. It's gonna be so fun. You only got as far as opening your mouth when Nicolas erupted into a stream of loud cheers. The young boy threw both his arms in the air and Derek ducked in his seat, clearly embarrassed. Nicholas's outburst didn't surprise you one bit. A tiny chuckle escaped Derek as he slowly slid his gaze back over to you. Sorry about that, Marina. The whole drive is probably going to be this rowdy. I mean, we're used to this one by now. She likes these kids. She legitimately enjoys these kids, Derek. I can handle it. You joined the celebration, chatting about the day's plans. You sang along to the music to entertain Nicholas. Oh, what's that out the window? Look, you joked. Yes, that. He scanned everything he could see from his car seat. When there was nothing eye-catching to find, Nicholas grumpily moved his attention back towards you. I don't get it. What did you see, Marina? It was... You lifted up a few inches in your seat and peered out the window past his mop of hair, then you let yourself plop back down. Oh darn, you must have just missed it. What was it? A cow. No way. Yeah, huh? And oh, there's another one? Leaning forward, you point out his window. Nicholas spun and squished, his palms of his hands and his nose into the glass. Where? It's right there. It's wearing a cowboy hat, too. Can you believe it? I can't find it! Darn, you missed it again. It blinked away like it had a teleporter, but you know what that means. So this is confusing to me. I know she's just teasing and playing this kid, but it seems kind of mean. Nicholas's eyes widened, and he quickly started shaking his head, holding a single finger to your lips for him to remain quiet. You scooted forward as far as you could in his direction. I think it means they must have been a secret undercover agent. Nicholas gasped at your revelation and sat back in his car seat. He crossed his arms and peeked out the window again. Don't worry, we'll just have to keep our eyes open to spot more secrets hiding in plain sight, right? Yeah! Later during the drive, Nicholas let out a gleeful squeal. You were confused at first but managed to get the reaction out of him, but soon it became clear. Nicholas remembered he had an entire baggie of snacks. He triumphantly pulled it out of his pocket and started munching away at all the tasty treats inside. For once, Jorge followed Nicholas's lead and relaxed into a chill snack time. Chilled into a relaxed snack time. A snack re-snacks. Jorge munched away while watching the world pass by out his window. Derek, on the other hand, simply rested back into his seat with his arms behind his head. You decided to have some snacks too. You ate everything you had. You saved all your snacks for later. You decided to have some snacks too. All it took was one look at your stomach felt envious. You pulled your zip baggie out and decided to treat yourself to a handful too. After Nicholas had devoured every crumb and licked every bit of sugar from his fingers, he was ready to play again. And so the ride continued onto the blasting beat of classic kindergarten tunes with fun road trip games. I love this thing. Yeah, classic kindergarten tunes, man. I hate to say it. Well, I'm not going to say it, actually. The kids I know aren't into this kind of music, and it makes me sad. There you go. And despite the trip supposedly taking hours, it didn't feel long until you noticed the first sign of your destination. With building anticipation, you caught the first flashes of tall rides in the distance. On the parking lot. Both families pulled into the parking lot, and the kids excitedly bounced out of the cars. The parents cheerfully waved at each other as the group closed the distance between them. With everyone regrouped, the family strolled onto the boardwalk. Your eyes widened. The place was even more amazing than you'd imagined. You know, they're going to Wonder Wharf. That's the place they're going. They're going to Wonder Wharf like in the hit show Bob's Burgers. Because it's kind of based on that, right? It was like you stepped into this background image for my video. Let's take a little look too. You got, oh, there's way too much going on here. I could be here all day if I did. This is, yeah, I've been to one of these in real life. This is, you got all the food options. You got swimwear. You got Tam. Is there a K in here somewhere? There's a 7. I could have swore they put K's in like everything. This is ice cream, I just noticed. Tom over here, or I said Tam, but I think it's Tom now that I think about it. Man, fast food. It was like you stepped into a bright world of color. There were shops displaying various beach towels and boogie boards decorated with either popular cartoon characters or tropical flowers. Clothing stalls had racks of sundresses, cover-ups, and swimwear in every pattern imaginable. Ahead, you could make out the colorful tufts of stuffed animals from the prize boards. Oh man, I wish they had that on here too. It doesn't look very big in this picture, which is weird, but I think it goes this way, maybe. The one I went to, I just spent too much time in the arcade, but it did have Ferris wheels, it did have all this stuff, it was cool. Darts, ring toss, skee ball, and more waited further down the boardwalk. Music filled the air, but when you listened closely, you could make out so much more. There were various cheers and shouts of victory, joy, and fear. Oh, yeah, now that I think about it, there is a big one of these in LA. I know that from Gmod, actually. The Gmod LA map thing, and like Grand Theft Auto, too, when they do, in Los Santos and stuff. Yeah, there's a big one of these boardwalks in LA. So that's clearly where we are here. The screams would be coming from the massive wooden roller coaster that towered beyond the stalls. Ah, yes. Something that I would have done only a couple times in my life, but never like a big one, and I'm terrified of roller coasters, but I'm trying to work on getting over that. I'd like to get over that and do more. I don't want to do crazy rides. I have no desire to do like absolutely insane, like crazy stuff, but I'm kind of wanting to get better at roller coasters. From what you could tell already, the boardwalk was easily 5 times the scale of the entire shopping street in Sunset Bird. You loved it. You still prefer your old town store-side tourist trap. You suddenly felt uncomfortable. You were in good spirits. You didn't know what to think. You loved it. It was exhilarating taking in the scope of the boardwalk in. You were going to implode if you didn't start exploring soon. The group began navigating down the wooden boards. Mrs. Suarez hastily grabbed onto Nicolas's arm for safekeeping, and just in time, too. The bustling mood of the area had Nicolas raring to go. He wanted to see, play, and explore every inch. Unfortunately, for 4 parents were just not as energetic as the hyper 6-year-old. With an affectionate shake of her head, Mrs. Suarez struggled to hold on to Nicolas's tiny hand as he attempted to spread ahead. Irene, why not let the children go?
What?
Will that be fine?
This child here and the rest of them, I'm sure they'd rather enjoy the park on their own and at their own pace. They'd be safe with each other. 1,000-yard stare, Irene. Jeez. She carefully weighed the scenarios in her mind while Nicolas was too busy trying to forcibly move her forward to notice the important conversation happening. Your mom shared a glance. I'd be alright with that as long as nobody left the boardwalk. It's large, but not too large.
Alright.
The kids are getting older, and they've earned a little freedom from our all-seeing eyes. Okay, adults and kids get to have their own day at the boardwalk. In other words, the adults want to go have fun without us. And do stuff that they want to do. That's what he meant. That's what he's trying to do. This is his master plan. You caught both Elizabeth and Derek perking up. This was clearly a sign of a perfect day ahead for the two. Is it, though? Is it? And then Mrs. Suarez passed Nicolas off to her husband for a moment. She motioned to the older kids to circle closer to her.
No more.
No more treats for Nicolas. He's had enough candy and cookies for the day. I'm counting on you to keep to that. Mr. Suarez over there can't be trusted.
Oops.
He stood up straighter and looked away from his wife, pretending that he had had no idea what she was talking about. Her knowing smile cracked into a lighthearted laugh. You admired the way her eyes sparkled, teasing her husband. She moved her attention back to the rest of you, and both Jorge and Elizabeth gave her confident nods.
I'm on it.
We got this, Mom. Derek answered with an added thumbs up. Mrs. Suarez proudly beamed, letting her gaze go between her boys. No need to worry, you can count on us. Oh, and speaking of getting things, I have some money on hand for me and my brothers. Will you and Elizabeth be able to buy ride tickets and knickknacks or any of that sort of stuff? I doubt pocket change I have is going to be enough for anything. I remembered my wallet. Well, I've got a nickel. I didn't bring any money. You frowned wordlessly. I've got a nickel. I don't got a nickel. I'll rather ride my motorcycle. You dug around in your pocket till you found it. Holding it up, Elizabeth hid her face in her hands before revealing the grin she cracked. Good for you.
Don't worry about it.
We're gonna spend money on you two today anyway, so here's no harm if we let you have it. Besides, if we don't go on trips like this every day, we don't get to go on trips like this every day. Go a little wild. Exactly. We want you to be able to do things here. Yeah, I get this family's not super rich, but they have money. They manage their money well. That's what I think. I used to think they were a really wealthy family, but then when I think about I think the Holdens have a decent amount of money. And obviously your cousin Lee does, as we'll see more of as things go on. But I don't think the Foster family, or the main character's family, is terribly rich. Oh, they do put the thing in the background. It says fast behind her head. Interesting. Mom dug into her purse and then pulled out a handful of bills. She carefully counted out $15 and handed it to Elizabeth. Your sister was unimpressed at that amount and recounted the bills to herself. Mom handed your own $15 next, and you quietly chuckled to yourself. You couldn't help but think about how it probably would have been a 20 if Mr. Holden was there. Thanks, I'll use this wisely.
Thanks. Alright.
We're all set then. We'll meet again here at 8 p.m. in front of the first stall. Mrs. Suarez took her youngest arms and crouched down to his level. She brushed away some stray hairs out of his face. Go and stay with your brothers today. Be good for them. With an eager nod, Nicholas bolted over to Derek and clung onto his jeans. I don't think we'll get a Derek's back in this one, sadly. I'll do it, though. Derek's back! There you go. Derek laughed at the sudden weight. He put his hands firmly on the younger boy's shoulder just in case he decided to run off. The two sets of parents disappeared in the crowd, moving towards the nearby stores. Standing on your tiptoes, you caught your moms waving goodbye one last time before they were completely out of sight. Elizabeth spun in a circle, spotting all the things she might want to try. She must have deemed the boardwalk to be cool because she was cheerier by the second. Eventually, her gaze returned to you and the Suarez brothers, and it was clear that her daydreams had crashed back down to reality. Next to her, Jorge rocked up at his tiptoes and then back down. Catching your eye, he stopped and nervously inched a bit closer to Derek. It must feel awkward for a little kid to have two new additions to what was usually a special family affair. You offered him a smile, but tried not to stare at him. You were so eager to get going already. The clock was ticking and you didn't want to miss a single activity. Yeah, I think Jorge should know us well enough by now, though. Maybe not Elizabeth. Derek awkwardly took a couple larger steps forward. His strides were wobbly as Nicholas held on him tighter, but Derek was ultimately unfazed.
Okay.
We should start the day right. The face painting stall is up near here in the front. Up here near the front.
Yeah.
Face painting! Jorge brightened with that notion, and Nicholas shook his head. Shook Derek as hard as he could without shaking himself off. Derek's grin widened as he laughed at his brother's delight. Yeah, let's go.
So immature.
Face painting? Are you serious? I like that almost more as a picture. Nicholas was too absorbed with the thoughts of paint to notice her attitude, but Jorge's joy vanished instantly. You can pinpoint the exact second Elizabeth remembered how much younger Derek's siblings were. Elizabeth uncrossed her arms. No, she doesn't. She doesn't know how to do that. Feeling a bit rotten, she cleared her throat and begrudgingly tried to pull back on her visible distaste. I don't need one, however. Of course we can go over to that style. Anyone who wants to do it should. That's great. Honestly, there's a lot of time to do tons of things, so it's not a big deal if it sometimes isn't what you want to do, right? His green stare hardened. He directed the statement at both the youngest and the oldest member in the crew. Elizabeth snorted, displeased that a kid like Derek was acting like he was in charge. But Derek wasn't in his respectful guest mode, which is what Elizabeth usually saw from the neighborhood. Derek was entirely in the eldest brother role. He kept a stern stare on her for another moment before shifting to you. I love his frickin' Fluttershy stare there. Are you alright with letting my brothers get their faces painted? You can too if you wanna. It's actually a lot of fun. I wanna get my face painted too. Do you think Marina Foster has any shred of dignity? I don't mind going, but I don't want to get painted. No. Nicholas victoriously bounced, knocking against Derek. He even caught a small smile growing in the back of Jorge's face. Before anyone moved, Derek carefully removed Nicholas's hand from his pants and took a hold of the young boy's hand instead, like his mom had done before. It's weird not having Cove here, though, on a big outing like this. We do so much stuff. I know these are the Derek moments, but it feels like this is something they would have taken Cove on, too. I guess that would have just complicated things more. Derek cheerfully pointed ahead with his free hand. He probably would have acted like Cove always acts in these, like, bonus moments where he just acts, like, awkward and aloof because he's supposed to not be the one you're dating, so they can't make him important.
Let's go.
Yeah, that's actually appropriate. Derek led the way for your group, slightly zoomed in version of the picture. You followed his line of sight to the row of shops that had a large, colorful umbrella. As you approached, you noticed two open chairs under the shade of that umbrella, one for the artist and the other for the person being painted. Next to it was a canvas posted with a collage of photos. The example showed off cheeks dotted with daisies, sparkling gold stars shooting over temples, peace signs, and a whole rainbow of butterflies. Skulls and spiders were options for kids who wanted to get their face painted and still look tough. Someone like Cove, you thought to yourself, chuckling. Cove getting a skull or a spider? You kidding me? Cove would get like a seashell or something. It's Cove, come on. Of course, that was only a joke. Yeah, you were positive Cove would actually get a fish or a shell or a dolphin or something like that. Boy, read the next text, doofus. You peeked at the painting tools in the mirror on the wheeled counter. The artist appeared to be a teen just out of high school or maybe in college. Many of the stalls you passed had younger people running them. The artist eyed your group carefully in return. Hello. Hi. Welcome, I'm Xavier. Would you like me to paint your face today?
Definitely.
Xavier went over and plopped down on one of the chairs. Derek nudged Jorge towards the others. Do you want to go first? Jorge hesitated and chewed at his bottom lip. He wasn't sure until he realized that no one else moved to take the open seat. He seized the opportunity and sat down. What can I do for you?
Okay.
I want a football, right here. Without missing a beat, Jorge pointed up to his forehead. I hope this kid grows up to be talented at football. I really do. Elizabeth hopped quietly at the conversation, but Xavier gave a serious nod. I can do that, no problem. The artist slightly brushed Jorge's bangs aside and began to work. Next to you, Derek's brow furrowed intently as he studied the picture collage of options. I don't think you could possibly think any harder without breaking your brain. What's the problem? But Derek continued to quietly mull things over. He pressed a hand to his chin and sighed. So when I think of face painting, I think of full face painting, like where you get a whole like animal thing done. When I was a little kid, I probably did this stuff, but I'd never do it. I never do it now. It's one of those things where I wouldn't have anything against doing it, but I feel like it's more fun if you let the kids do it and don't take all the spots and hog them. Like, it's one of those things that if there was nobody else there and nobody was coming, I'd probably do it. But, like, it's for kids, right? So let the kids have their fun. Well, and adults don't need to be in the kids' business. That's my opinion. I don't think there's anything wrong with being an adult that does childish things, but I don't think you should also take that away from the kids. Either. Nicolas will get what I get. I'm not sure what to get because of that. He doesn't like soccer as much as Jorge likes football, so that's probably not the best choice. I could get a car for obvious reasons, but Nicolas also really loves rainbows, and he does already have cars in his shirt. Just get the car, you can't lose with that. It's sweet that he loves rainbows, let him have one. You could get a spider. Nicolas can pretend it's a real one and scare people. I think just get the car, you can't lose with that. He spoke lightheartedly and Derek hung his head in defeat. He let out a deep sigh.
Right.
I know, you're probably right. I'll get the car. Jorge's football didn't take long to finish at all. He got up with a delighted grin and tried to tip his head hard enough to see the painting without a mirror. He couldn't, but that put a damper on his fun. That didn't put a damper on his fun. One of his hands hovered around the football and you knew he was fighting the urge to poke at the wet paint. Yeah, so that he got it right there between his eyes. So you get these versions of them with the face paint, man. Derek slid into the customer chair next. Nicolas leaned his hands on the edge of the seat and intently watched the artist go to work. As the paint took shape, the smile on Nicolas' face grew until he was giggling giddily. He finally figured it out. The artist proudly added the finishing touches, but then addressed the youngest Suarez instead. Xavier twirled their paintbrush. I love that Xavier is a they-them representation for the non-binaries or something, or maybe just the they-thems. I don't know. You don't have to be non-binary to do they-them. Anybody can be they-them. Now what do you think? It's awesome! Just what I like to hear. You're good to go then.
Thanks.
Thank you. Derek took one last glance at himself in the mirror and hopped off the chair. He pointed at the open seat with his thumb. I kinda like that look for him. Your turn, Nico. Nicolas clambered into the chair with a pinched brow. Once he got settled, he sat up tall like a big boy. Hello, what can I do for you today? A car! Xavier's gaze instinctively went back to the piece they just finished on Derek. They immediately put together what was happening. That's a great idea. Let's get started. Nicholas nodded and then put all his mental energy into holding still. You weren't sure how long the 6-year-old could keep that up before it started to squirm. I wonder if I should have picked the spider just to be funny. If Derek would have done it, or if he would have made some, I don't know. While it was fun to watch Nicholas, you knew that your focus was better spent deciding on what new design you were actually getting. You were next, so you gave the canvas another look. You picked out the football, soccer ball, basketball, butterfly, heart, shooting star, rainbow, sun, smiley face, car, skull, spider, peace sign, alien face, clear cheek whiskers, and a painted nose. You can do it! But Marina Foster. Again, Xavier made quick work painting Nicholas, and was soon jumping out of his chair with a brand new car adorning. Nicholas was soon jumping out of his chair with a brand new car adorning his cheek. You walked over and took his place in the chair. Can I get one too? Of course. The three brothers huddled together off to the side. Proudly, my wrong cheek, he's not the same as Derek. Why does Jorge look so mad? The three brothers huddled together off to the side, proudly admiring and showing off each other's face paintings. Elizabeth crossed her arms, spotting you in the chair next. She'd been quietly hanging around the stall, attempting not to be too impatient. You were the last one left to go. Thank you, Winter's Defender, for making noise in the middle of my thing. I can start whenever you're ready. Ready. Right, you shifted your attention away from your group and instead stared directly into the heir's face. You liked their pink hair. It was pulled back and tucked under a uniform hat, and from this distance you realized that their eyes were more purplish than brown color they looked when they're farther away. So what can I do for you? I want to get a shooting star. I bet this is a character in our life too. I bet it's a character in our life too who comes here to work for the summer. And that's why they're being so descriptive with this person. Because these DLCs do nothing if not shill for our life too. I can work with that. The heiress dipped a clean brush into their starting color, and then they reached forward to begin drawing on your cheek. The paint felt cooler than you imagined. Try not to move too much. The bristles lightly tickled as they glided across your skin. Stroke by stroke, Xavier started with the outer lines and then filled the center of the drawing. Before you knew it, it was over. You eagerly checked yourself in the mirror on the counter and beamed. Thank you so much. You're welcome. You got up and rejoined the others. There was a delighted pep in your step, and you pointed at the final result. Nice choice. Now that you and the Suarez brothers were happy with all your face paintings, it was time to discover the next activity. Derek quickly paid for him and his brothers. You dug out some of your own money too, and it was time to go. Have a good day. You too, Xavier. Your group gave one final round of thank yous to Xavier before moving down from the stall. The flow of the crowd brought you all drifting down the boardwalk. As you traveled further in, you actually spotted your parents. The Suarez boys jumped and waved, and their dad did exactly the same thing across the way. Wow, you get all of them in this picture too. Next to him, Mrs. Suarez tried hiding her ear-to-ear grin with her hands. Your moms had their heads close together, laughing at Mr. Suarez's reaction. You shouted. You jumped and shouted. You jumped and waved. You waved quietly. You jumped tight at the other. You jumped and waved. Throwing your hands in the air, you waved them like crazy as you bounced in place. Elizabeth sidestepped away from the group, not wanting to be associated with the undignified behavior. Yeah, it's time for you to calm down, Lizbeth. Ma spotted you right away and pointed mom in your direction. They joyously waved back to you and Elizabeth. Then your parents continued on with their own adventure. Your group traveled farther down the boardwalk. You browsed the long row of shops, pointing out all the interesting things on sale. After the afternoon stretched on, your gang continued to enjoy the boardwalk. And as the afternoon stretched on, you're going to continue to enjoy the next video, because I'm going to stop it there and plan to make this into 3 videos. So we'll see you next time.